What is happening? In this video, we're going to be doing a bumper repair on this Dacia.
Came for my wins, I need my ends. This life is real, if they pretend. Came off the fence, I get it in, I get it in, I get it in.
So we'll keep this one as quick and simple as possible. It needs a new tail light. There's a new tail light with it in the boot. The bumper's cracked the whole way down here, as you can see, and here. But if you look, there's already been some sort of repair done to it. That's a bit of fiberglass and a bit of hot stapling done. So, yep, I'm gonna pull this bumper off and assess the damage. Okay, so all I've done is taken out this reflector, and you can sort of see the scratches, and by the looks of this, there was once a big chunk of fiberglass sitting here, but obviously there's not much in the way of scratches there to hold a big chunk of fiberglass on, especially with plastic not really adhering to fiberglass. On top of that, there's like hot staples along this bit and then nothing here or here. So it was always destined to crack again anyway. It's just how far we can now go to fix this. It sort of sealed its fate as being hot staples and some plastic filler, or maybe some Mega Bond, some of the 2-part Mega Bond. But yeah, start off with, I'm gonna drill out the end of each crack just so it can't go any further, then V it out with a die grinder and see how many of these hot staples I can shave back or pull out. Okay, that's all the hot staples ripped out. It's still not sort of matching back up, even though I'm squeezing the bumper together. So what I'm going to do is grab the heat gun and see if I can get this. There's a dent in it here, and then there's a fold in it here. Just grab a heat gun and see if I can get it to fall back into its original shape. Okay, we're setting a whole lot closer together now. By the time that's V'd out, it should be sweet. That cable tie is not part of the permanent repair, but that's just to hold it all together whilst I'm working at the cracks in here. This bit up here, that raised bit, seemed to come out of it straight away. The beauty of these Dacias is they use thin, cheap plastic for everything, so easier to repair. So next thing I'm going to do is get the hot stapler out, staple up a couple of these, and then I can flip it over and just start taking the front off this and see how much filler and fiberglass is actually in there. And then I'm going to have to get creative because I don't think I have any corner staples, so I'll probably have to bend one or two just to hold that nice and flat down in there. Also, if you do not own one of these, they are like £20 off eBay or Amazon, and I've gone through like 3 of them so far, but they are very, very handy for, you just set the hot staple in the end of it. Try to do this with one hand. Hold on. So as I was saying, you just set the hot staple in the end of it and then line them up. You want to try and put the staple that way rather than that way. Obviously there's a couple here that I'm never going to be able to do that, but ideally you want it that way, so you've got more bends between the two of them rather than that way. If you go on there, you've just got one wee bit of wire holding it. So yeah, then you just hold the button and you see it start to sink in, and then once it's in enough you let go and you just give it a little twist. A bit extra. And there we have it. Now I just cut the legs of this off with a pair of Vino pliers and work my way around and do the rest of it. I might have to throw another cable tie and just hold it straight whilst I'm working. But yeah, so you get a rough idea of what I'm doing. I've got most of them on sideways. There's a couple that I couldn't get away with it. And then up here, what I'm doing is just grabbing one of the hot staples and if I set it down, I'm turning that into a V shape and then pushing him into the corner there, and it's working pretty well. This has only got 2 in it and it's holding together really tight. So yeah, I won't bore you guys with any sort of time lapse of this because it is repetitive and time consuming, so I'll get this done. So I've cut all the wee legs off these ones. I've just got to cut them off these ones along here and this one. And then we'll be robbing a bit of plastic probably off down here or something. And the reason we'll be sort of slicing him off and using him is so we know it's definitely the same plastic, and I actually don't have any other old bumpers laying about, so it'll definitely be the same plastic. We'll be able to melt it, fill that gap with it, but also it sort of gives the staples a backing so they can never pop this way. Although we've pushed them in and twisted them, it's always better to have something extra behind it, and it'll give it a bit more strength. So yeah, I also found a tiny little crack up there and one there as well. Would you believe in this whole garage that there is not one pair of Vino's pliers that I can find, and there must have been 5 or 6 in the toolbox last week. Different shapes and sizes of Vino's pliers. None now. So time to go on the hunt for some pliers to actually cut these things. So somehow I've managed to lose the audio for this clip, but that's just a melted plastic and then some plastic filler that I've put into the back of the bumper. And then in this clip I'm just die grinding the V into the bumper, so the filler that I put on has something to go into and I'm not trying to fill over a tiny little crack. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the audio for these clips because every other clip still has its audio, but there you go. We are almost there. I've mixed the filler up wrong twice. Well, I didn't mix it up wrong. I mixed it up and put too much hardener on it for the day that we're working with. So I've just thrown a bit of satin black over it. So then I can fire some 180 over the top of it and see what shape it's in. So it is all bagged up and ready for primer. I'm just going to fire you guys on a time lapse. That took so long. So long. Like, that completely sucked. Just because of the heat today, every time I put the filler on, it would go hard before it finished, and it was just, yeah. Then I was chasing pinholes for ages because every time it went hard, then you were sanding it and getting pinholes, because as you drag the filler across with the card, it would just rip wee tiny holes in it because it was half hard. So yeah, that sucked. Took way longer than it should have, but finally, it is primer time. And this is the finished product. Not too bad. A couple of these stupid bits in it, I'm not sure that you can see it, but it's like that. And stuff that just came out of the gun, but once it's all blocked back tomorrow, it will look sick. So we are back. It is the following day. The only thing that I've done different is dusted some satin black over the bumper, so it's a bit of a guide coat, so I can see what the primer looks like. I've got to have this car done in 3 hours, so dried, polished, out the door, so I will be showing you guys a whole lot of time lapse. What you're going to see me do here is flat this back with 500 to around here somewhere, and then I'm going to hopefully soft edge to this line and try and do something down here, so then I'm not going into this number plate recess and I can just keep my blend in here and in here, because we're only painting the corner of this bumper, we're not painting the whole thing, so we need the clear to blend out somewhere. So I'm hoping to keep the clear along here and along here. So now you can sort of see the reason for the guide coat. It'll tell me if there's any low spots in and around this, and it'll also tell me if this line needs shaped up a wee bit more. Now you can, if it's a tiny little bit out, you'll be able to shape it in the primer, but I'm happy enough with that. I think it looks grand. Okay, so this one is definitely going to be tight. But as you can see, I've got this little dude sort of into this. There will be a lacquer line there, but it'll be tiny because he's actually in this body line. And then, yeah, I didn't have any actual no edge. I have used J-tape door edge on these softer curves before, because the no edge just leaves a too harsh of a line. But yeah, hopefully I managed to pull this off, because it was either that or I paint the whole bumper more or less, because I'd be into here, I'd be the whole way down there, and I'd be the whole way up into the boot, so it wouldn't have made any sense to try and burn the lacquer in halfway along the bumper. But this is a very cheap job, and it has to be a smart repair. So also, it's good to show you guys what you can actually achieve. Like, you could do this in a garage, at the house, or on the driveway or something, and yeah, it's good content. So I'm going to go mix the base coat up and start firing it on. So the base is on. I've managed to keep it more or less as far away from that tape as possible. I just kept the gun at this angle here, and I was more working onto the panel like that, so I was never going into the tape. Because if you spray into the tape, obviously your lacquer and your base edge are going to be at the same point, and that's going to suck. So I'm going to let this flash off, mix up some clear, and I'll probably leave you guys on just a normal video for the clear. I have no mask, so we're going to hold the breath and run out the door. That's the first coat on. Leaves that 5 minutes and then stick the second coat on. You can see just here where I caught the car with the airline in the primer whilst I was doing the base coat, sorry. So there's a tiny little chip. But we don't have time to fix it, and to be honest, it looks fine. It's a Dacia Sandero, and it's a family member, so yeah, leaves that 5 minutes, come back in, stick another coat on. And I know I have the paint booth rolled up on the floor over there, but I didn't put this in the paint booth because A, I needed a bit of height, and B, by the time I move everything and pump the paint booth up, for all this job is actually paying, it just is not worth it at all. Okay, so this is all on math. I actually finished firing the rest of the bolts in the bumper as well. So if I do this, you can sort of see the hazy line where the thinners with the tiny bit of clears in it. So once I run the polisher over that, it's just going to take that straight off. And then down here you can see, well, you would struggle to see it, but I can't even get it on camera, so you can see like the tiniest little, just looks like a tiny bit of dry spray in here, but it's perfectly fine. I'm not even polishing it. And then again, just a wee line along here that needs polished down onto this body line, and then it'll be perfect. Yeah, I'm super bummed about this because if that wasn't there, the bumper would look perfect. But sure, it's good enough is good enough. But yeah, I'm just going to continue on and get the taillights put in, let it flash off a little longer. I did have the lamp on it, but I'll let it dry off. I've got to look at an oil leak under this car. I didn't actually know there was an oil leak until I put the car the whole way up in the air last night and then parked another car underneath it. And I came in this morning and there was oil drips all over the boot lid, so that was fun. But yeah, I'm just going to fire the taillights in. I'm not even going to time lapse it because it's boring, but get the rest of it all built up. And then once it's dried up, I'll take you guys through the polishing stage, which is really going to be not too much. I may as well take you guys through the oil leak situation. So, that is the oil leak. I need to take this under tray off to start with, which is just a load of 10 mils the whole way around it. So I'll grab an impact gun, do that, and then show you guys what we discover. Okay, so that's the under tray off, and by the looks of things, it is just coming from the sun plug, which is a result although it does seem to have a new washer on it. So what I will do is I'm going to quickly search up what that's supposed to be torqued to, torque it, and then see if it gets wet again, because I'm hoping it just wasn't tightened enough. If not, it needs the washer taken out and changed, which means draining the oil. So the torque setting is 20 Newton meters, and I don't know where my digital torque wrench is, and my big one doesn't actually go down that low, so it got sweetened up with the ratchet. Hopefully that sorts it. I'm gonna clean the under tray, degrease it and pressure wash it, and then hopefully that will be it fixed. One of the easier of oil leaks. Okay, so it still leaked, so I had to pull the washer out, which meant draining the oil. But I pulled the washer out and there was a little nick in it. I didn't have another one, so I just sanded the washer a little bit thinner. And yeah, it seems to have worked. So I'm just putting this tray back on. I've pressure washed, and then we'll get back to our polishing. Okay, so now it's dried. I had the heat lamp on it a little bit longer and it's all dried. I'm not even going to polish any of this. There is like a little nib down there, and then I thought there was another nib up here somewhere. Yeah, just there. You can't even see it on camera. Yeah, and they aren't worth polishing out of this car, so I'm just going to get the mini polisher and polish along that edge and then along this edge, and then that will be it. Perfect. The blend came out bang on. I don't even need to put the polisher near it, so an easy one this time, guys. And that is her perfect. So the wee polisher I was just using is this one, and I swear to God, I have a Milwaukee one. The head of it's stinking. Ignore that. I have a Milwaukee one, and it cost me, I think with the fast charger and the extra couple of batteries, it was like £300. Whereas that cost me £40 with the charger and the battery. The reason I bought that is because I couldn't get the backing plate for the Milwaukee one, and these just use the generic ones you get for like £2 on Amazon. Whereas the Milwaukee one uses a 9mm thread, because Milwaukee are assholes. But yeah, if I could go back in time, I would have just bought the two of them. For all I use a mini polisher fire, I would have bought the two of them and never bought the Milwaukee one. As much as I appreciate Milwaukee products, like, it does the very same job. The battery's not, it doesn't last as long, but again, if you buy I bought 2 of these and 2 extra batteries, and I think the extra batteries are a tenner each, and for all you use a mini polisher fire, it does the job. So yeah, I'm super stoked. The colour match isn't fantastic, but I did use just standard shade because I didn't have a colour card for any of the other shades that was any closer. So that's one of the things with the MIPA scheme is it's great, but they don't give you a colour card for anywhere near as many colour cards as you would like. So yeah, it actually looks way worse on camera than it does in real life, like every silver ever. But yeah, that's how it came out. I think it looks sick. Definitely a whole lot better than it did. I sent a photo to the owner and they replied with, far better than it needed to be, thank you very much. So, sick. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Again, it's one of them repairs you could easily do at home yourself in a weekend. The next video we are going to be talking about the pit bike giveaway, because that's finalized now and I have a plan for it. So yeah, definitely come back and watch that. And there's another 2 really cool announcements. Again, I won't go into it now, but make sure you're back for the next video because it's going to be sick. Please do scroll down and like if you liked the video, comment and subscribe if you aren't subscribed, and I will see you guys in the next one.